Well, welcome. This is year 8 of the CSP Capstone Symposium, and I am super excited to be here. And I think the word that comes to mind is inspired, and that's an important word because finding inspiration right now seems slightly harder than it has at other times in my life in terms of the whole, overall geopolitical thing. I'm not talking about me personally. I'm talking about us as a collective right now, right? And what inspires me is that this, for those of you who aren't familiar with this degree, we have a lot of AV and IT complications, but we get through those. I don't know what that noise was, but this degree is challenging because it requires people to have an intuition about science, have an intuition about policy, have a desire to learn about science, have a desire to learn about policy, have an intuition for politics, and see how it all sort of connects at so many different levels. See how the science, not just how the science intersects with policy, but how the policy intersects with politics, and how the different disciplines of science intersect with each other, and how we can better address the climate crisis by effectuating better communication, for example, between scientists, better cooperation between scientists, better communication to decision makers, better communications to the public. So the fact that this program and such amazingly talented people that are also very dynamic people are attracted to this field and willing to go into something that's so hard yet so rewarding, that really inspires me because I know that the road to get to a career in climate is challenging from my own experiences, so I'm really proud of all of you for taking this on and taking the lead that you've taken this year. Great job. And since I know that you all are okay with me doing this, I do want to reflect on the climate issue more broadly, and I realize that I have now been here in this role for 5 years, 10 months, and 10 days. And it's a pretty interesting role because I am kind of a participant and kind of an observer in such a broad range of things. And prior to this, always as a subspecialist, thinking about some wacky radiative forcing experiment or something, and then trying to get everybody really excited about cloud feedbacks or whatever. That's so niche, but this is, instead of being in this little niche space, I'm in this space where I'm able to kind of observe all these different aspects of the climate science and climate policy and climate politics problem from, not necessarily from afar, but from a place where I can kind of synthesize what's going on without being a subspecialist in any one particular thing, although meteorology, you may know, I sort of subspecialize in, but to think about the systems and how they all interact, really have the luxury of stepping back. And what I've come to conclude, and some comments I want to make, are basically that I think structural inequality in our society, not just what is inequality, let me unpack that a little bit. The fact that it's way easier for some people than for other people. The fact that it's infinitely easier for some people than for other people. The fact that some people out there have been in 3 or 4 foster homes by the time they're 5. People who have been wrongly convicted of crimes or convicted of BS crimes at age 18 and then gone into the prison system. Why? Because we have never, ever in this country prioritized not equality, but really fairness and treating everybody right and having some sense that the collective good and collective affluence is something that we should all participate in. And we have a lot of work to do and a lot of healing to do in the near future, but I don't think the divides that exist between left and right, between climate deniers, so to speak, and people who accept the climate science are the chasm that we necessarily make them out to be. I think we all love our families and love our friends and want what's right in this world. And we do need more dialogue. And some of the, let's say, some of the energy that exists in opposition to climate change is a response to lack of confidence in institutions. And if you are in a country where within the last 2 months, somebody that I really respect and really like said to me, quote, dude, I drove across 2 states of this country, and all I saw was like trees, gas stations, and Dollar Trees. And I'm like, whoa, there's a lot there. And so I focused on the Dollar Trees. The Dollar Tree is a place we can go in and buy pretty much anything for like $1, not anything, but non-prime goods for $1. And I discovered subsequent to this that there are a number of YouTube influencers teaching Americans how to get by on food that they get from the dollar store and try to be healthy, try to eat well, try to live in a dignified way, because there's no grocery stores. There's no ability to buy food, right? SNAP programs are inadequate. $250 for groceries a month in California. I've actually tried to hold that budget. I didn't make it. Cory Booker, who's a lot cooler Cory from New Jersey than me, actually succeeded. I failed by a margin of about $100. He pulled it off, and he's a lot bigger than me, so credit there. Yeah, I didn't play football at Stanford, as you can tell. That bothers me personally, and I want right now to make a call to action that we're all in this room, we're not cool with that. We're not cool with YouTube videos. We're cool with the people who make the YouTube videos, that's great, but a society in which massive geographic swaths of people in this country subsist on meals they cook from Dollar Tree and have to watch YouTube videos on how to make frozen vegetables and hot dogs taste decent. That's BS, and that's not a world I want to live in. And I think the climate issue, right? How is that fixable if we don't have more equality and participation in the decision-making by everybody in society rather than inequality and resentment? From that, and I'm going to end on a hopeful note here, I promise. From that, I want to mention that rather than seeing more cooperation in the world, I've been concerned to see more competition between the great powers, US, China, and Russia, not just with what's going on in Ukraine and the tensions in Taiwan, but also the uncertainty associated with the semiconductor supply chain. We're about to enter this time. We're going to have a major AI pump, but then we're going to have a major AI boom in this country. And Taiwan semiconductors, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen to the global supply chain of chips as we try to climb the curve through an era of innovation? Is geopolitical strife going to drag us down? And is that narrative of geopolitical strife what the economists who originally were sitting around thinking about the RCP narratives, right? That regional strife, people burn what they have locally, lack of cooperation. To me, sounds a lot like what people were thinking about when they thought about that RCP 8.5 worst case scenario. And I was kind of hoping to take that off, not that I can take that off the table, but to kind of minimize that a little bit. But I don't know that it's possible. And, in response to all of that, we've seen in this country populism and authoritarianism. And we all need to remember that authoritarians, right? And I don't want to name any names here, but you can talk about Erdogan in Erdogan in Turkey, or Orban in Hungary, or some Xi, Putin, etc. Even a populist like AMLO, or a populist authoritarian type like Donald Trump. They exist to propagate their own power. And putting those people in positions of power because they say things that people like is very, very destructive to policy. So populism, the political environment should reflect the will of the people, but when politicians have to virtue signal and say crazy stuff to the point where they don't govern to get elected, we don't get anywhere and we elect the wrong people. And I find optimism in a lot of the progress that we have made in terms of, I only have 1 minute left. Oh man, I'm going way, way over with these remarks. So I'll wrap them up very quickly in this case. I find that the hope exists really in the following important spaces: innovation that I'm seeing the increase in public understanding, objection across the board, across ideologies to oppressive institutions, improved equality in our society, which I feel like this program plays an important role in motivating, value of biodiversity, the potential that exists now for decentralization and everything from currency to information, et cetera. And also, especially in Gen Z, thank you for your lack of emphasis on materialism. I love it. It's awesome, and it really does matter. And also, there are less restrictions on getting in front of a microphone than ever. You just start a podcast. So if you have a voice and you articulate it well, people can hear you. But I'll wrap up now. I'm so proud of you all and so excited for today. Great job.